Hey everyone, Steve here from Big Head Tech, and we're going to today take a look at how to undervolt the RX 5700 XT. A lot of these cards run really hot on the hotspot, which I know most people are not reporting that information, but I feel that to be relevant because boost frequencies and fan curves are dependent on that. So you're going to need a couple things. Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers benchmark. I'm running 1440p and high desktop settings, just so you know. You're going to need the latest AMD drivers. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Gaming, Global Settings, and Global Wattman. So let's go ahead and maximize this. Now, right now, we haven't made any changes yet. What we want to do is get a baseline, so we have hardware info open over here. So that's off to the side. And let's take a look at some temperatures right now. So we're floating around, GPU temp's about 47. What's called HBM, but GDDR6 is 45. The VRM is 44, and the hotspot is 50. Now, do note the fan is spinning at 0 RPM. So this is just the stock speed that it's running at. And we will take note on how fast it does get up to in the system, although it's claiming it's spinning at 1,000. It actually is. The center fan doesn't spin until under load. The two side fans do. So this is the ASRock RX 5700 XT Tai Chi. So let's go ahead and as is, we're going to go ahead and start the benchmark. So here we go. We finished with a score of 15,003. And let's see how close this matches up. So junction temp was 102 degrees. So ambient is currently 21. So 81 degrees over ambient, 60 degrees over ambient here. Let's look at the rest of these temperatures and see how well they line up. So here we go. So the GDDR6 hit 88 degrees and the VRM hit 74. Maximum power is 259 degrees and it hit 2034 megahertz, which is what about lines up with this. And fan speed hit 2167, which isn't too loud. Now, here's what we're going to do. Normally, I would auto undervolt, but it doesn't do it enough. So we're going to manually do it by 0.1 volts. So right around 1.1 should be good without touching the, there we go. Without touching the clock speed. And then what we're going to do is reset this. Move this to the side, open up this test, and hit start. Fail rather. So that did not work. So here's what we have to do. A little bit less, or a little bit more voltage. So we tried, let's go down to like 1125, 27, there we go. So wait, can we go down one more? Come on. There we go. So we're going down about from 0.4, so about 0.8. And this is why we run this benchmark, because this benchmark isn't the end-all be-all, but it's a really, really good starting point. Let's go ahead and reset our settings here. Perfect. Let's hit start. So far, these are definitely not the results we wanted, and we're going to take a look here on what we saw. So fan speed pretty much didn't move at all. The junction temp dropped to 6 degrees, core temp dropped a few degrees, GDDR6 temp barely moved, power output dropped a little bit. Core speed dropped a bit, but I'm going to say probably the biggest reason for this drop is inconsistent core speed. I think it's going a lot up and down. So let's go ahead and record this results here. Ambient again is, it's actually up to 22. So 78 minus 22 is going to be 56. This is going to be 64. And hotspot temp is going to be 74. Report speed is that, which more or less lines up with what Radeon settings has. And fan speed barely dropped, and we got a little bit lower here. So now we're going to label this as, this is 11 or 1.125 volts. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to lower the clock speed a little bit here. So let's lower it to, I'm not sure if that's too big of a drop. That's what I run it at personally. Let's go 2025, and then let's hit apply, and let's go ahead and reset everything here. So let's reset this. Let's reset hardware info here. Let's run her. So there's not a lot to report. Sure, the score is a little higher. You know, these scores do move around a little bit. I'll add this in once I watch the clip back to see what it was. Power went up a little bit to 50. Fan speed roughly the same. Recorded speed, oh god, we don't have an accurate recorded speed. And that's due to that spike right there, so that's lovely. Let's take a look here. So we're definitely in the 19s. Let me see. What is, oh no, it's not. It is the orange. So we're going to say I saw 1970. I guess we'll go with that. 1970 should be fine. Well, what's interesting is the score's higher, right? So there's a few reasons why that can be. Reason number one, with the lower target for speed, it's not going up and down as much. There could be a multitude of different reasons. Ambient is currently 22 again. So 79 minus 22 is 57, 66, and hotspot, not great, 75. Okay, so this was 1.125 volts at megahertz. Okay, so what do we want to do next? Well, a couple things I want to do. First things first is let's reset this. Let's reset that. Let's bring this down a little more. So I'm going to bring it down to the settings that I run at, and then I can drop this another, actually a fair bit here. So this is what I currently run. But let's just, for the sake of, like, if I was doing this for the first time, let's do 1075. We'll keep this at 2025. So we're going to mess with fixed fan speed at a couple of these setups here in a little bit, but we just want to get this overclock, or in this case underclock, dialed in a little bit. So let's take a look. I'll reset these one more time. That should be good. These temps are fine, so let's go ahead and start. So here we are, a smidgen lower than before, so 14602, not horrible. Again, these GPU spikes are annoying, but I'm seeing 1972, 1988. I'll take that. Okay, so this is actually a little bit higher. Now, these aren't take home since they're not reporting properly, so keep that in mind. A little bit lower on the fan speed. Let's take a look at the other parts that are important. So we got a bit better temperature. So again, we're at 22 degrees over ambient, so that's 55. That is 82 or 62, so that was a nice drop there. Hotspot is 72, respectively, and power is 247. Okay, we are getting somewhere, somewhat. Oh, GPU clock, it says 1990, so that's what we're gonna go with. Again, this is probably higher, so we're gonna put a 1970 asterisk, especially since it scored better, essentially. Yeah, I didn't watch that yet, so we'll have that reported here at the end. So let's take a look where we're at. So we're gonna run what I do, which is 2000, and then this goes down another 20 or so. There we go. So let's go ahead and reset everything. And then we're going to then mess with fan speed next once we get this finally dialed in. So we dropped 1447, but we did better here. So let's take a look at something here. Now I went back and watched the video, and I'm going to add another line, 1.096. I'm going to have to see what these recorded as, and this was 1.204. This one is showing 1.056. So this is the actual voltage that we saw. And temps dropped a lot. So GPU, we dropped 7 degrees. GDDR6, we dropped 5 degrees. Hotspot, we dropped 8 degrees. Core clock, it looks like we dropped a fair bit. What was that, 43 megahertz. Fan speed dropped, and power output dropped as well. So we're definitely going in the right direction. Let's go one tick lower. Let's see how low. We're going to go to the advertised boost clock of this card, up to 1905. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see how low we can go. Let's go. Let me think for a second. Well, if we set 1905, we don't know what's actually going to run at. But it automatically dropped essentially to 1 volt. So let's go just a smidge under that. It's actually interesting. I didn't think it would actually do that. Here, let's do. So let's go 1905. Okay, so we are at 1 point. Oh wow. Okay, so we dropped 0.94. So let's save this and let's see. Let's reset everything here. Let's see what this does, and then we are going to start messing with some fan speeds. So the score continues to go down, but is that all bad? I would honestly say no. This is actually a rerun because I didn't get fan speed, so that was kind of important. And we're going to go, I'd already looked at temperatures, and this is a little bit different. So we're just going to go with the temperatures that I had recorded on the previous run. And 1866. You know what? No, I'm not going to do that. So we are currently at 23 degrees ambient. So that is 45. That is 56. That is 57. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then fan speed was 2037, and voltage was 0.993. Okay, so that's not bad. We made a huge drop in many areas. It is time that we work with fan speed here. Just 70% if I can do it here. Doing this with carpal tunnel wrist strap is not the easiest thing to do here. Of course, that went up by... Oh, that didn't go up at all. Okay. Of course, that went up by too much. There we go. There we go. Okay, so 70%. Let's apply it. That's actually a bit louder than I expected, so let's go down to 60%. And this will actually take some time, about 5 minutes for it to come down, so I will wait for it to come down all the way. And then we will go ahead and run the benchmark and see what we get on these settings. So now we're getting some pretty solid results here. This was a little bit lower. Again, each one of these runs are going to vary. 23 degrees, 0.993. Wattage this time was much lower, 163. Now what I noticed was, well, here I'm going to put 187 because I don't think that's right because we didn't really do any difference. So I'm going to say it's an error in the reporting. And again, this video is not for perfect science by any stretch. It is just to kind of have some fun. So 24, 27 was a fan speed. Max speed 1849. Okay, yeah, that's about so 1849 is probably not too far off. But let's see what this says here. Pretty accurate. Okay, so we'll say that's right. Temperatures, that was quite interesting. So at 23 degrees ambient, that would put this at 41. That will put this at 51. That'll put the hotspot at 54. So we're doing good. So let's just make sure everything's labeled here. And then this is going to be 60% fan speed. Now, I'm going to do two more things, and this is kind of what I would do if I was overclocking, and that is I'm going to up this up a little bit, and let's see if the voltage holds. Yes, it does. Apply. I'm pretty much happy. The acoustics are at the top end of my tolerance. It says about 42, 43 dBA, so that's fine. I don't have a problem with it, but as loud as I want to get it. Now I want to squeak out some core clock, and then we're just going to mess with the memory real quick. That will be next run. The final run will be setting it back at stock with faster fan speed, and you'll see that's not very exciting. So let's go ahead and reset our parameters here. So temperatures did not move, but I did get a crash at the very end, which is not fun. But what we're going to do now is we are just going to turn up fan speed a little bit. And unfortunately, it's going to show you that it doesn't unfortunately help much. It helps a little bit at stock, but I mean, it's probably going to be our best run from a number standpoint, but not a thermal standpoint. So let's go ahead and apply this. Then we'll apply the old settings with the memory overclock and see if we can dial in our system the best we possibly can. So here we go. As you see, it really did not make much of a difference from the original run. In fact, it actually ran worse. Let's get some temperatures going here. 252 watts. Ambient temperature was 24. And let's take a look here. So this would be 56, which is slightly better. GDDR6, we're looking at 62, which is a little better. Hotspot temp, this is where it really makes much of a difference, but we're at 77. So, and then voltage, we are at 1.20. So let's go ahead and dial in our final overclock here. So this is going to be stock at 60% fan speed. And this is going to be 0.944 volts or 994 volts at 1906 megahertz / 930 megahertz. And then this will also be at 60% fan speed. So this is going to be like a permanent over, under, whatever have you. And I'm very curious what this entails here. So let's do this. Let's just type in 1906. And of course, that didn't come down for whatever reason. Actually, I know why, but let's see. I just want to run it the same as before. There we go. And then we will do this to 930. I just happen to know that's what most cards hit, 915 to 930. I know this card hits that. We don't want to mess with power or anything like that. And then let's go ahead. Oh, it crashed. That's not good. Or it didn't crash. It exited out, rather. I crashed earlier here. And let's reset. That's good. Let's go ahead and reset. That is also good. And start. And here we go. We bumped the score a little bit. 14,480, which is good. Ambient temperature is 23 degrees. Let's look at, we are good here. So same voltage as before. So that would be 0.993. Power is 194. Fan speed we kept the same. So it was 24, 27. 1923, does that line up? No, this says 1886, and I'm going to believe that, so we're going to go 1868. Temperatures, so 64, ambient is 23, so that's 41, which is good. 53, which is fine. Consider we overclock a little bit. Hotspot is also 53. So there we have it. Let's go ahead and do a sort and filter here. And we're going to do this by, actually, No, I didn't want to do it that way. Let's do... Oh, well, I did this backwards, so it's fine. Did I do that right? No. No, I didn't do that right. Okay, so in the end, we can definitely get some good performance, good temperatures out of this card. But this is really just talking about where we started, which was really hot, 81 degrees over ambient. Core was 6 degrees over ambient. GDDR6 was 67 degrees over ambient. And we dropped 19 degrees. We dropped 16 degrees. We dropped, oh wow, 28 degrees. And let's do some math. So equals, we'll do this minus this divided by this. So, oh, I did that backwards, but you guys get what I mean. Yeah, I did do that backwards. So let's do this minus this. So in a percentage standpoint, we dropped a theoretical 3.49% performance in a perfect scenario. So it's probably less than that. And we gained a lot of temperature. So this isn't the end-all be-all test. Like, I would probably, again, you can bump this almost 100 megahertz if you bump this 0.05 volts. But I just kind of wanted to see if we put this at like a standard stock setting, what we would get. And we definitely got some good stuff. So that's pretty much it. So hopefully today you learned how to undervolt. So I did it in order of how I would normally do the undervolting. The exception is maybe I wouldn't have gone quite this low, but I wanted to test it. And then I started messing with fan speed. Then at the very end, I mess with the memory. So that's generally how you want to do it. So that's my thought process. If you liked the video, liked it, dislike, leave a comment, get subscribed. But as always, ignore the activate windows. I just reloaded this the other day. I haven't gone around to activating yet. This is Steve from Big Head Tech, and I'll see you later on down the road.